I now call the East Lyme Zoning Commission regular meeting of June 18th, 2026 to order at 7:30 p.m. If we could all rise to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good evening, everyone. Ms. Harris. Jet Harris.
Here.
Thank you. Ms. Kalal.
Here.
Ms. Markovitz, I believe, is not coming tonight. Mr. Peck?
Yep.
I'm here. Ms. Uhas?
Here.
Ms. Edwards? Mr. Liska? I thought he was coming. No. Ms. Susko? No. Mr. Mulholland? And do you know if we have a recording secretary that will take minutes?
Recorded, and the code will take our minutes.
Okay, thank you. And is our ex officio? Ms. Hardy's here. Ms. Edwards, you're our alternate for tonight. And you were here last meeting when they gave the presentation on the storage facility? Yeah, so come on. We'll begin with the public hearing. Tonight, first we have on the agenda the application of Peter Ifland for a special permit under section 16.1.3b, Tidal Marsh Docks of the East Lyme zoning regulations to remove and construct a new dock on property located on Old Black Point Road, Assessor's Map 08.3, Lot 1, opposite 100R Old Black Point Road. And this is continued, says from May 7th, 2026. We will open this public hearing. Mr. Mulholland, did you run the legal ads? All right, and the memo of yours that we're going to read is
I'll read it.
This, not the one with Alex Close, the other one.
That second one?
Yeah.
Okay. East Lyme Zoning Commission from William Mulholland, June 2nd, 2026. The applicant Peter Eflin of 100R Old Black Point Road is proposing to construct a dock on property directly across the road from this location. The property that is subject to this application is further identified as lot number 1 on East Lyme Assessor's Map 08.3. The property is further described as a small upland area westerly of the road adjacent to the waters of Long Island Sound. It is proposed to remove an older existing dock and to replace it with a new structure. The applicant originally proposed installing a long line of boulders just along the coastal jurisdiction line running parallel to the road. The boulders would have functioned as a retaining wall, which would have allowed the regrading and creation of a level area between the boulders and the road. However, as part of my review, I asked the Connecticut Deep to review and comment. As a result, the boulders were removed, thus eliminating a significant adverse impact on the adjacent tidal marsh. I also note that the proposal is specifically exempted from a CAM review under section 14.2.2b and instead requires a special permit. In addition, a special permit is required because the subject property is zoned tidal marsh. The Commission's jurisdiction is limited to those areas above the CJL. The board's focus should be on regrading area and whether the project would have an adverse impact on the upland area. Further at question is whether the applicant needs to bring and fill to be deposited in the regrading area. Also in question is the proposed of the regraded area. Section 16 of the zoning regulations regulates tidal marsh districts. It states in the general description on purpose coastal areas and islands characterized by tidal wetlands as defined in section 22-29 of the Connecticut General Statutes. These areas are high value wildlife conservation areas and flood retention areas and are generally unsuited to any form of building development. The purpose of this district is to preserve tidal wetlands. While this application is for a replacement dock, the upland regrading is a significant change to the existing site conditions. The Commission must ensure it carefully considers this element of the application. A question is whether the proposed activity, as described above, will have a negative impact on the marsh.
Thank you. Is Mr. Ifland here tonight? Oh, come on up. If you could just state your name and address for the record.
Sure. Peter Riffland, 100R Old Black Point Road. As you see on the plan, the proposed dock has already been approved by Connecticut DEP and Army Corps, and I'm just applying for the local permit for the portion of the dock that touches upland of the CJL. As you had noted, I removed the line of boulders, which was not intended as a retaining wall. It was intended as a safety car stop because of my driveway across the road, which is between 9 and 10% going toward the water. This past winter, I did slide partway down the driveway, which reassured me I would like some kind of emergency stop before hitting the water, which is about a 7 or 8 foot drop off the road. So the detail that I showed on there for the emergency car stop, after removing the boulders, is simply two 6x6 posts with 2 crossbars, so that there's something there if a car does slide down the driveway. I also want to note that that driveway is not only served by myself, but 2 neighboring properties also have deeded rights to that driveway. So there's a number of safety concerns, myself and neighbors, that I'd like to have something installed there. And as you see, I took the line of boulders off because it was misconstrued as being intended as a retaining wall. It was never intended as such. And what I propose now with the posts is simply as a safety precaution.
So, I have a question. So you're not proposing regrading the area at this point?
The regrading is only because I will have to dig for the 6x6 posts, and the plan also shows a water line being connected from the water valve that's already exists on that property to the proposed dock. So since there will be some digging, the regrading is only because there will be digging on there for the water line and for the posts. There's no mention, and I had no intention of bringing fill in to change the elevations of the site. Simply regrade after the digging occurs.
So basically putting it back the way it was
Yes.
before you dig.
Yes.
Anyone else have questions?
I mean, the only fill is if the water department requires some kind of sand bedding for the water line, but that's only about 20 feet. So, other than that, I don't intend to bring fill in to change the elevation of the site.
I have a question for Mr. Mulholland. Maybe you all get it, but I'm a little confused. So are we here tonight? It sounds like DEEP has already approved the dock, so what are we approving here?
There are regulations in the title marsh for in the TM zone, which is properties, and requires that anyone to do a dock to get a special permit from this commission. You are obligated to review it under section 25 in your regulations, which has some language regarding conditions and evaluation. Today, you have the CJL, the coastal jurisdiction line, which is the Connecticut DEP coastal jurisdiction line. Below that is their jurisdiction, above that is yours. Back when the regulations were written, they obviously intended that this commission review docks as well. In today's world, and those regulations probably haven't been changed in 50 years. The jurisdiction is deep for the docks. So you're really essentially looking at the upland area above this coastal jurisdiction line for any impacts under the special permit to the neighborhood, to the character of the area. It's exempt from coastal area management because it's a special permit, and that's very specific under the Coastal Management Act. It's in your regulations that says that the special permit is exempted from CAM because you can essentially ask similar questions. So your motion is going to be to approve the dock because that's the language in your code, but essentially we're also evaluating that upland area where there's some minor regrading, and the testimony this evening is on the record. So that hopefully clarifies, and I realize it's somewhat confusing, but one of those cases where some of the language is ambiguous.
Any other questions from anyone?
How big is the area going to be again? That you're going to have with the regrading?
The trench for the water line is only about 20 feet, and the posts for the safety car stop is 6 or 8 feet. So you're talking 30 feet of trenching at most?
Well, if the commission doesn't have any more questions, we'll go to the public. Is there anyone here that came to speak for, against, or make a neutral comment about this? No? Oh, we do have someone.
My name is Barbara, 34 Riverview Road. It's a safety concern, and that should be the ultimate agreement, that everybody should say yes to that. It's safety for his life and for the people that are living next door to him, for the whole road, anyone that is driving on that road. It's safety, and it needs to be addressed, and it should go through.
Thank you. Anyone else here tonight?
A question.
If you have a comment, come on up. It's,
Name and address, please, for the record.
Sure. Jason Butch, 10 Virginia Street. I'm just curious, this is already approved by DEP. Was there any explicit concern about erosion? And if so, were there any recommendations made as far as mitigation by way of native plantings, things that could mitigate that problem? I'm just curious.
thank you for your concern. It's usually not question and answer, but if you have any comments.
I'll just offer a comment on that. The application and its materials were referred to DEP for comment, and they had several comments, and that's why we find that the boulders were removed based on some of their comments and concerns, looking for minimal impact on the wetlands area, the tidal marshes, etc. So in my opinion, most of that's been addressed, and during construction, you would put in silt fences, etc., as required to protect from any erosion, which is very typical of any construction project. Now, I'll just note, silt fence is not intended to prevent erosion, it's to control erosion. You're still going to get some filtration. Commonly there's a misnomer that, well, there shouldn't be any erosion if there's a silt fence. There is, because the water will filtrate through. But this is what's the common technique used to address these issues. So I think at this point, testimony's on the record, and hopefully that answers your question.
Okay. Nancy?
I'm still confused. I'm sorry. So we're approving a dock, or we should be approving a dock, but we are not approving the float and the ramp?
No, you are not. That's right. You have no jurisdiction below the coastal jurisdiction of Lyme, which you're familiar with the Lyme processes.
Right.
DEP has already issued a permit for the dock. He needs a local permit because he's in a tidal marsh, and your zoning regs require a permit for a dock. As part of that review, because the laws changed, we're really only looking at the upland area where the dock connects to the land and the surrounding area, even though your motion is going to be to improve the dock
Only.
only. But this is part of, just like any special permit, part of the peripheral issues that you will find from time to time, which we talk about frequently.
So I have a process question. If we approve the dock, are the fence posts a separate issue to come back, or is that part of the dock
This is
approval?
part of that application, and it's
Okay.
testimony on it, he's testified for what it's going to be. In my opinion, if you approve it, that would include the testimony, and obviously the drawings are in the record as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions, or are we ready to close the hearing?
I make a motion that we close the hearing.
I second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We'll discuss it in our regular meeting. Thank you. Let's move on to the application of Kian Hyun, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, of the Olympic Taekwondo Academy of East Lyme for a special permit under Section 8.2.1 for an indoor recreation facility on property located at 170 Flanders Road, Unit D10, We'll open the public hearing, and if you could state your name and address, please.
My name is Kyung-Yoon Hyun, and I live in 83 Prospect Street, Nagatak.
Thank you. Mr. Mulholland, did you run the legal ads?
I did.
Okay, I'm sorry, we kind of jumped ahead. We need to read Mr. Mulholland's memo first. Thank you.
Memo to East Lyme Zoning Commission from William Mulholland, zoning official, Special Permit Taekwondo Training Center, 170 Flanders Road, Midway Plaza, Unit D10, Niantic. June 17th, the application of Kyung Yoon Hong is applying for a special permit to operate a Taekwondo training center for martial arts instruction from the property referenced above. The use will occupy 3,000 square feet in area. The facility will have a training area, a waiting room area, and bathrooms. The space has 12 dedicated parking spaces. The facility is expected to be open from 2 till 8 p.m. with occasional weekend events or special programs. A copy of the business narrative is in our packets. The property Midway Plaza is home to numerous businesses that essentially share the 124 existing on-site parking spaces. The special permit application is submitted under Section 8.2.1, Commercial Facilities, which provides indoor recreation, etc. This is consistent with past commission practices.
Thank you. Now, if you want to present.
I can say something. I will be operating Olympic Taekwondo Academy, and then this is a scheduled instructional facility similar to other Taekwondo school in Connecticut, and then classes are held at specific time under instructor supervision, and then this is not open gym, and students are coming for their class, and after then leave afterward, and based on in operating model, I would like the facility to considered under Group B occupancy. Yeah, and then thanks. I would be happy to answer. Yeah.
Any
question? Yeah.
How big are your class sizes?
Class size is around 700 square feet.
Oh, how many people attend your class?
People.
Yeah.
Maximum students going to be 25, include instructor.
Okay.
Yes.
How many instructors are you going to have?
Yeah, just me.
Just you.
Yes.
You're teaching different levels,
Yes.
and that will be from beginner to
Yes. Beginner to black belt. Yeah.
black belt.
Yes.
Wow.
And I'm assuming you're a black belt instructor?
I'm looking for.
Madam Chair, I have no problems with
Maybe you can enroll. Any other questions?
What are the ages? Are you going to have the people, grouped in ages? I see you have beginner and advanced.
Yes.
And I like the after-school and youth enrichment activity. That's nice.
Yeah.
And the seasonal camps and special events.
Yeah. Age is 3 to others or age. Yes. And then different class time schedule is going to be a little different. So then 3 to 5 years old guys, and then take the one group, and then other guys a little different time.
Okay. Any more questions? No? Do we have a motion to,
I make a motion that we close.
yes, excuse me.
go to the public.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, is there anyone here from the public that wants to speak for or against? Any comments? Nope, I think we can make a motion.
I make a motion that we close the public hearing.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we're moving on to our third application tonight. It's the application of Jerry Locken for East Lyme Parks and Recreation for a special permit under Section 20.1.2F for the construction of a fenced dog park and associated parking area on property located on Roxbury Road, Assessor's Map 15.0, Lot 8. Mr. Mulholland, did you run the legal ads?
Yes.
Thank you. And could we read Mr. Mulholland's memo into the record?
Yes.
Okay.
Memo to East Lyme Zoning Commission from William Mulholland Zoning Official, Special Permit Dog Park, East Lyme Parks and Rec, dated June 16th, 2026. The East Lyme Park and Rec Department is applying for a special permit and site plan to construct a dog park at property identified in the application as Roxbury Road, Assessor Map 15, Lot 08. The parcel is approximately 25 acres in size and is a town property. In your package, you will find a written narrative describing the history of the East Lyme Dog Park Subcommittee efforts to create a dog park in East Lyme. The subject is proposed for this parcel. The subject is on the north side of Roxbury Road between Roxbury Court and Corey Lane. It is to propose to conduct a 150 by 300 foot large dog area and a small dog area approximately 150 by 100 in size. Parking will be provided for 10 vehicles with 2 being handicapped. Access will be provided by a curb cut of 24 feet in width for two-way traffic. A landscape buffer will be created along the street. All other buffers will be attributed to existing conditions. There will be no lighting as the park will only be open during daylight hours. In conclusion, the Commission should carefully evaluate the proposal and the criteria in Section 25 special permits. This section, in subsection 25.3, provides standards by which the Commission must use in evaluating the proposal. This section states in full the location and size of the use, the nature and intensity of the operation involved, and the size of the site in relation to it, and location of the site with respect to the existing and future streets giving access to it, shall be such that it will be in harmony with the orderly development of the district, the location, nature, and height of the buildings. Walls, fences will not discourage the appropriate development and use of adjacent land and buildings or impair the value thereof. Sincerely, William Mulholland Zoning Official.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Jerry Locken, Parks and Rec Director. In your packets, I think you have slides, and I was trying to save some paper, so I apologize if they're kind of small. But just a brief history. There are about 3,000 dogs estimated to be in East Lyme. 1,450 licenses are issued by the town clerk's office. And there's been an effort to build a dog park in the town for over 10 years. More recently, in 2023, the Parks and Rec Commission appointed a dog park subcommittee to begin the effort again. Those folks completed some work, issued a report to the Parks and Rec Commission that was endorsed, and it went forward to the Board of Selectmen, who endorsed the concept of a dog park and allowed us to continue or to begin fundraising. The Dog Park Subcommittee did a number of things, including a comprehensive review of town-owned properties that might be appropriate for a dog park. They researched best practices and developed some proposed rules. They surveyed residents. And several months ago, we actually came before the zoning board and applied for a special permit at Darrow Pond. And the commission denied that request due to 3 primary concerns: noise, traffic, and water quality concerns. So the group started over again, went back to the list of properties that they had reviewed, and came up with the Roxbury Road property that we're here to discuss tonight. So I mentioned a survey of town residents, and the findings of that survey indicated strong and even overwhelming support for a dog park in town. And yes, there were some concerns that were listed in that, and I'm going to go listing those too. There were concerns about maintenance. That's the most common, like making sure the area is clean. That's the most cited concern. Aggressive dogs, irresponsible owners, and sickness and disease. Some things that people have concerns about at dog parks. The Dog Park Subcommittee has responded to those concerns. Some of the rules that they propose are in an effort to alleviate those concerns. So making sure that dogs that come are required to be vaccinated. Owners need to be in control of their pets. They need to clean up after their pets. Dog owners also have a decision to make, whether to go to a dog park or to use their own yard or to go somewhere else. So it's not the only place in town, it's just a place, and dog owners can choose if they're concerned about, whether their dog is vaccinated or not, they can, they don't have to go there. So, onto the Roxbury Road property. People may be familiar with Roxbury Road. It's essentially an east-west artery through town. And as you go towards, from the transfer station towards Bridebrook Park or Rocky Neck, on the right-hand side, you'll go by a big open field, and that's the area of the dog park. So just making sure that people know what we're talking about when we're talking about the Roxbury Road property. That property was obtained in 2009, and it was obtained from the state of Connecticut with the condition that the property is used for open space and recreational purposes. So a dog park on that property conforms to the state's requirement. Since then, the Town Park and Rec Department has maintained that meadow, and actually the Roxbury Road property was initially the dog park subcommittee's preferred location. After discussing it with the Parks and Rec Commission, though, and the interest in developing Darrow, the dog park subcommittee first pursued Darrow at the behest of the Parks and Rec Commission to say that was a location that the commission preferred. However, the Roxbury Road property was always the dog park subcommittee's top priority. So if you see, I don't know if you are looking at your pictures there, but there's a picture of the property in the presentation, and there's it shows kind of a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit sign on there. It's a 2-lane road. There are no sidewalks in the area, but it's just like I mentioned, that kind of that cut through from the transfer station, say, to over by closer to the York facility. So this property does address several concerns. The plans that you have address several concerns that were addressed in the Darrow Pond effort. Traffic, Roxbury Road is much more able to handle any increased traffic, but in terms of increased traffic, it's, we're talking about dozens of cars a day. It's not hundreds or thousands of cars, it's dozens of cars. And that road is perfectly able to handle that increased traffic load, which is negligible. In terms of noise, vegetative buffers, you can see on your plans, are included. And we located the property, or the dog park, inside the property that's at least 150 feet away from the nearest house. And the fenced area was moved farther away from the nearest house to the east, just to make sure that, we're having the least possible impact on any neighbors. And in terms of water quality, I know the map you have, if you can read the topographic part of it, but essentially the slope of the property where the dog park is going to be located slopes away from the aquifer protection area, and so any kind of runoff that might happen flows away from the water source. That's, I think, what is it, Bill, 300 feet is your review up?
That's wetlands.
Yeah, so the wetlands buffer, the entire dog park is outside the wetlands buffer, and the entire dog park is outside the aquifer protection zone, and the slope of the land runs away from both of those things. And in terms of other considerations, the proposed parking lot is going to be paved, access from the street, and paved accessible spots. So bituminous paving for those accessible spots. The other spots that will have their parking spots will be something like turf stone, where it's pervious, so the water will actually go through and not be running off or sheeting. So just kind of an environmental concern there that we are addressing. And the fencing, it's going to be coated to be more aesthetically pleasing. And we have the set of rules operating during daylight hours, as the memo mentioned, and it's going to be maintained daily by the Parks and Rec Department in terms of removing trash and things like that. In the packet that I sent or submitted, you can also see on the front side of it, we intend to have kind of a more ornamental or decorative fencing to, not just chain link. It would be kind of a wrought iron looking fence on the front side facing the road. So with that, I guess I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
I have one. I'll kick it off. Your list of requirements are good. Dogs have to have shots, this and that. Who would be there to monitor that? I mean, you can tell people they need to, but that doesn't necessarily mean.
So, yeah, I guess anytime, there is no difference, if your dog is in the town and you're walking anywhere in town and your dog isn't vaccinated or have the license or whatever, it's no different at the dog park. We put the information out there, and as dog owners see maybe a dog there without tags or whatever, there's a certain amount of peer pressure that happens that, kind of people tend to conform. There's conversations that happen over that, and we expect that that's going to help, unlicensed or unvaccinated pets in town. We're not there to police that. We don't have the resources to police that, but again, it's no different than any other, pet owners should be responsible, and we're going to encourage them to be as responsible as possible.
My next question is, say an angry dog did bite someone, or is the town liable for any lawsuits?
Dog owners are responsible for the behavior of their pets.
Is that on state statute, or would it fall back on the town? And
No.
if so, do you know what the statute number is?
I don't know the state statute, but dog owners in the state of Connecticut are responsible for the actions of their animals.
Even when they're on town or state property?
Just like you're responsible for your own actions, doesn't matter what property you're on, the owner is responsible for the actions of the pet.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So, for the record, is the application before us tonight solely for the fenced-in dog park and parking area? Or is there any other plan for that property?
So the two answers to that question. One is the only thing we're asking for tonight is the dog park. I will, share that in, 15 years ago, there was a proposal to develop athletic fields on that property. There is still some level of interest in doing that in town, but it really hasn't gone anywhere. If that effort does go somewhere, we would come back and get an additional permit. And if the town decided to pursue that, I think, modifying the location of the dog park on that property or something like that would be something that we would look at that time. The level of development of putting a fenced area around is really minimal, and it wouldn't really impact any kind of future development of that site if the town did choose to pursue athletic fields or some other use of that property.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
This dog park interest survey,
Yep.
514 people answered. Are they by any chance dog owners, since there's 37,000 people in town? That's kind of a small sample.
I think in terms of sample size, I would say the sample size is fine. I think your question about whether or not it's a random sample or whether or not more dog owners answered the survey than non-dog owners, I think it's probably safe to assume that more dog owners or more dog-friendly people answered the survey. Yes.
When was that survey put out or sent
That was in
out?
2024.
Will the park have a double gate system?
Yes, and I'm sorry, I have a full-size set of plans here, but there is, it's called, I can't remember what the name of it is, but yes, you walk into a sally port. You walk into a sally port, and then from there you would close the gate, and then you have an option to go to the large dog park or the small dog park. At that point, inside that sally port, you could take your dog off leash, open the appropriate gate to whatever part the dog was going to use, and they would enter. So that is, yes, double gated if that's what you want to call it, yes.
Now, you stated that the town of East Lyme has expressed the ability and willingness to collect donations in a segregated account. Who is that person who has agreed to do this?
The Board of Selectmen allowed us to begin fundraising, and the finance office has a separate account where funds that are donated towards the dog park are deposited.
And how much money is in that account?
Several $1,000s right now, the low thousands.
How close is the nearest house?
What did my slide say there?
I think you said 150.
The location of the nearest property is 150 feet away from the nearest property. The closest fence line to that property is 150 feet.
And did you state what hours this park would be?
Daylight
open?
hours only,
Daylight.
just like any other park.
Yes.
Jerry, one question. Board of Selectmen has endorsed this application, is that correct?
Say that again?
Board of Selectmen has endorsed this application, is that correct?
The Board of Selectmen has endorsed the concept of a dog park. They haven't endorsed this
Use of this
application.
property. So they have or haven't endorsed this use of this property? as yet?
They have not, the Board of Selectmen has not weighed in on the property, no. They've endorsed the concept of a dog park in town and have accepted that the dog park subcommittee is making the best recommendation. They've endorsed that whole process, and that's why we're here today, because we've completed that process that the Board of Selectmen wanted us to go through.
It shows in your diagram that the aquifer protection area is pretty close to the proposed small dog park, which it says grass. How do you propose, well, I have two questions actually. How are you going to keep grass in there with dogs? Because, the more they come, like I've seen other dog parks, there's no grass in them. They're like dirt.
So I would say that any grass that exists inside the dog park or weeds is going to be in there, but you're correct. Typically what happens inside the fenced area is the grass or turf or whatever gets torn up. So we're not going to be in there mowing it, we're not going to be in there planting grass. Whatever condition that, the surface ends up as, that's what it's going to be. So, yeah.
Okay, now where is the, you state here on your diagram that the Aquifer Protection Agency, the the land is gonna slope away from the Aquifer Protection Area.
Yes.
And not towards it.
Yes.
Where is that? Do you have anything in here in your packet that would support that we could look at?
Your plan actually has, we have a large plan here, and it's actually got the contour lines, but the corner, the northwest corner where the small dog park area is, that very corner is the highest point of the dog park. The southeasterly corner is the lower spot. So it runs from northwest to southeast, away from the aquifer protection zone. So that's it. And I guess if I have a larger map here, if you'd like to, kind of see that, and I can.
I'm curious, Bill, what is the footage, Mr. Mulholland? What is the footage, the north area of the small dog park? What is the footage, how far away it is from the Aquifer Protection Agency? 'Cause am I reading it right? Is it 100 feet?
I don't have that number, but let me take a
No,
quick look.
that's the size of the small dog park.
No, it's not 100 feet. It's
I want him to say it.
I'd say 20 feet, something like
So
that.
it's 20 feet. So
Yeah.
it's 20 feet from the Aquifer Protection Area. Okay.
Downhill.
Have you done any surveys about other wildlife that's out there on this 20 feet away on this Aquifer Protection Area? Or even in this area here of the proposed site for the dog park?
So it's a big grassy meadow, so that we don't have any surveys of what wildlife might be in there, but you could imagine there might be some bunnies or birds or things like that in there.
And how much is the town's insurance policy on this property?
Say that again?
Said, how much does this property cost the town for an insurance policy?
Zero. Zero additional. It's any enterprise that the town chooses to go is included in their insurance coverage. So it's not adding any additional risk or liability to the town. We're not paying any extra money to have a dog park, no.
So on the north end, it's going to be about 20 feet away from the Aquifer Protection Area. Now we walk over to the large dog park area. How many feet is it from there? It seems to be a little bit further, but then when you look at the very bottom of the the south part of the dog park area, it's even closer than the small dog park area to the aquifer protection line.
There's a line on your map, and let me just show everybody here.
I know, but you see what, oh, where did he go?
So, the aquifer protection area is this line. Everything this side of it is aquifer protection zone. The dog park is this way. And again, this is the highest point. The ground slopes away from the aquifer protection zone.
So the squiggly line there that you have on our map here, Jerry, the bigger thing, is that, it says buffer strip. Is that what that squiggly line here means? It's a buffer strip? These right here. It's not really clear. These, it says buffer strip, and then buffer, is that the buffer strip line?
The squiggly line there indicates brush. So part of the property, the whole property is 20-something, 27 acres, I believe. The majority of the property is covered by brush. And that grassy area is a big grassy area, and the brush on the map is just indicating that that's where the brush line starts.
Okay, well, over here, it says 10 feet buffer strip. And over here, you don't have a 10 feet all through the whole front of it. There's no,
I guess I'm looking at 10 people.
what are these right here? This right here.
That's the brush line.
So is that still, and over here it says buffer strip. What's the difference between this and this is my question, Jerry.
It just doesn't show.
I think that may be something that the town's engineer put on there. There may be, whenever this property is zoned, it may be like a 10-foot setback from the property line or something, but that's what that is. The buffer strip and the setback is, I'm sure it's related to the engineers in some way, but
All I can read is what it says here.
I got it.
And it says buffer strip, and then below
Okay.
that for the dash lines is a setback line. So we have a buffer strip for the aquifer, and we have a setback line.
No, the buffer strip is not the buffer strip line. This line is the aquifer buffer protection area. This buffer strip that it says over here is just off the property line. It doesn't have anything to do with the aquifer. This on the far right-hand side here, left-hand side from the back.
Yeah, well, okay, but then why does the wetland line connect all the way over is maybe you can help me understand this, but it says right here, wetland buffer is here, like you just said, and it's here.
Okay, so there's different lines on your map. This actually says the wetland 300-foot buffer line. So anything that happens inside that, Mr. Mulholland would say that is something that you need to, and the wetlands people would need to review, any development inside that. We're outside that, so we don't have to worry about that 300-foot.
Right, but would you agree that you're pretty much touching the aquifer protection area?
I would not agree with that, no.
20 feet away from it?
Yes,
Okay.
I would say that
Thank
it
you.
is downhill from that. The
Okay.
aquifer protection zone has a higher elevation and water is not going to run uphill into that area.
Got it, thank you.
At this time, why don't we go to comments from the public? We can still come back and ask questions. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to speak for the project? For the dog park?
Hey, good evening. Dave Schultz, 79 Dean Road. Let's fire this bad boy up. Just a couple of comments here. My wife Laura Schultz is a member of the East Lyme Dog Park Subcommittee. Unfortunately, she could not be here tonight due to a pre-scheduled trip to Maine with our daughter's Girl Scout troop. That Girl Scout troop has been actively involved with the subcommittee for the last 2 to 3 years. Their work focused on the importance of exercise and agility for dogs. Working on this project and consulting with the subcommittee taught them leadership skills and was hands-on experience to learn how government works. They truly believe in this project and their passion for its success continues. Due to their work with the subcommittee, they were awarded the Silver Award. That's the second highest community service award for the Girl Scouts that they offer. That being said, all the research they conducted regarding the benefits of having a dog park in our ever-growing town was very interesting. There are many condos and apartments currently in East Lyme and more being built. These properties don't allow fenced-in areas, and dogs have to stay on a leash at all times. A dog park is a good way to let a dog exercise freely and socialize with other dogs in a safe environment. This promotes future positive interaction when they're in public settings with both people and other animals. Physical exercise and socialization is crucial for a dog's development and mental health. Exploring their environment is how they learn and grow. When the subcommittee surveyed the public about building a dog park in East Lyme, there was overwhelming support and enthusiasm for the project. They have been raising their own funds for the project, and there will be no budgetary impact on the taxpayers. Thank you for your time. And I have to go walk my dog.
Thank you.
I remember your daughter, and she presented very well at the previous hearing and stuff. They did a great job.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Is there anyone here tonight to speak against the project? Yes, ma'am. Come on up.
There's more for.
Pardon? Oh, okay. Come on up.
Hello, my name is Deborah Stewart Van Orden. You probably recognize me from all the school funding conversations we've had. I'm a dog owner. I have a 10-pound dog named Billy Ray. He's named after his achy breaky heart murmur, and he's doing very well at the age of 12. He was bitten by an off-leash dog in a community apartment complex up behind Starbucks, and he almost died. He got very lucky. That dog was known to be aggressive, and that owner was very lazy and would let him out in his backyard, looking around to see if there were other dogs present. But that dog would never have been to a public dog park because it was known to be aggressive. I'd seen that dog out before. My friend was walking the dog, and my dog got rushed to an urgent care and ended up at Peeper, and the bill was $12,000. He lived, and it's worth every penny, and the dog owner actually paid me back within a year. This is a good news story. These are the kind of situations that would be avoided in a situation where friendly dogs come, and also smaller dogs have their own section. I've been to the Waterford Dog Park. I've been to the smaller dog section. The mayor of Waterford, who's not actually the mayor, got down with his Yorkie and howled, and the whole chorus of dogs was howling, and it was a wonderful community experience. And I've also been on the larger dog side with a husky that I was babysitting for a submariner who was deployed, and it was a fantastic opportunity for the dog to run around, socialize, get his energy out, and not body slam my 10-pound dog in my cooler basement, but get his energy out. So as a community member of East Lyme that cares about our schools, our children, our community, I feel like it's a very great opportunity to holistically increase the value of our town for the people who live here and for the 8,000 people who will be hired at Electric Boat this year, who are pet owners and want to be responsible pet owners. And I've only had good experiences at other dog parks where people pick up their dog feces and put them in the required facilities. And I've never had a problem with an unvaccinated dog. My veterinarian does not advise against taking my dog to the dog park. There are obviously risks, but if people choose to have those risks, there are ways to settle conflict that don't involve the town. So I think it's a great opportunity for our community to have this. And instead of somebody taking their dog to the baseball field, Veterans Memorial, and letting the dog poop and not picking it up, there are going to be those people somewhere in town, and they're maybe not going to travel to Waterford. So I think this is a great opportunity, not just for me, but for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak for the dog park? Yeah, come on up.
Melissa Canis. I'm at 1 South Calder's Court. We moved to town 3 years ago. Where we lived in New Milford, they had a beautiful dog park that was land donated by Kimberly Clark, the toilet paper people. And we had a committee made up of members of dog parents. And it was all volunteer. Not only was it a great opportunity for the dogs to socialize, but we made lifelong friends in that dog park. You know, everybody was very responsible because it was like a second home to us. And even if they were irresponsible people who came through once in a while, there were always those responsible people who always helped pick up after the others. Like, it is really not just an opportunity for the dogs, but it's an opportunity for the people of the community to get to know each other and have each other's back. And there have been situations where maybe dogs shouldn't have been there, but, you know, it was always resolved and you knew who to stay away from. And sometimes we would corral our dogs into the small dog park if we knew maybe they would be a problem. But everybody's usually attentive and on point, and when we moved here, that was one of the things we were looking for, was a dog park to have our dog exercise, because they are a member of our family and we do notice the difference when they are more active. You know, we take him for walks daily, twice a day, but it's really not the same, and he wants to say hello to other dogs, but unfortunately a lot of the dogs in this town are only on their yard, and a lot of them are behind electric fences, and they don't really know how to socialize with other dogs. It's a little scary. Sometimes I've had other dogs run at me through the electric fence, and maybe they just wanted to say hi, but when you don't know these dogs, you don't know what to expect. And I've walked through town, people leave their feces everywhere, and it's a fact of life. It happens. But when you're in a dog park, it's more of a family that looks out for each other, and you know, we try to maintain it and we try to keep it clean, because it is a place where we are at a lot of the time, probably, you know, half our time when we're bringing our dogs there, because it's just a great place and we miss it, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here tonight to speak for the dog park? Okay, anyone here to speak against the dog park?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
You have more reading to do.
Well, after I have that. I'd rather hear in person first. Yeah, come on up.
My name is Dottie Stribling. I'm neither for or against the dog park. I am for the property. No one speaks for the property. On this land, when you come up the hill, you see it, you go, yes, I'm in Vermont. I got stone walls, I got roses, I have birds. It's a pollinator pathway. It's a home for monarchs when they come on their migration. There were turkeys, there are no turkeys now. There are deer, there's fox in the winter. There is everything that makes this property great. Just perfect. To put a fence up, to put cement, to put tar, to put an aquifer, to do all of these things degrades who this town is. We are environmentalists, we are for open pathways, we are for everything that people are against today. Leave this property alone. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you here to speak against the dog park?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your service. My name is Marjorie Meekoff, and I live at 6 Cedar Ridge Road. I'm a past member of Inland Wetlands. I currently sit on the Commission for Conservation of Natural Resources. I also sit on the Darrow Pond Subcommittee, and I'm the founder and president of Pollinator Pathway East Lyme, a 501c3 nonprofit ecological restoration organization run by volunteers. I'm here tonight because I have concerns about the property on Roxbury Road, not only for a dog park, but setting a precedent for more athletic or aggressive passive recreation. In front of me, I have from Book 832, page 608, the claim deed that Jerry had previously talked about when the state conveyed the property, 25 plus acres, to the town on Roxbury. It says the property shall be used exclusively for open space and recreational purposes. Well, I know that there are different interpretations of recreational activities. We know that because the Darrow Pond Subcommittee, we know that the 100 acres is passive recreational, so it only allows certain things and prevents other things that are detrimental to the environment. I know that there are eagles nesting in the marsh area that abuts the property on Roxbury, and I know that firsthand because Warden Trina Sexton had asked Pollinator Pathway to install an 1.5-acre meadow on the property of York. And that 1.5-acre meadow sits right next to a large marsh area, and that marsh area goes up a little ways, up a hill, a few buildings from York, and then Roxbury Road. Now, I haven't looked at the GIS map to see the distance. I haven't had an opportunity to do that yet. But it was also brought to my attention very recently that not only are eagles nesting there, but we have a rookery of other birds. We have herons and egrets that have successfully inhabited there for years. Now, all instances of land use conversion, meaning that loss of habitat or disruption of wildlife, it can cause a degree of harm or actually extinction. It's difficult to say exactly what the cumulative effects of a dog park or future athletic activities on that property might be, but I think that I believe I can say that any activity on that property that doesn't support the current conservation efforts of the wildlife there would be detrimental to the wildlife there. So it would not be a good thing. I propose that your task as a board is to interpret the definition of what the recreational meaning was when the state conveyed the land to us. And also, I would like to formally request a NDDB survey, an analysis of the property. For those of you who don't know what NDBB is, it's called the National Diversity Database, and the Conservation Commission has allowed that to be available on our town website. It shows very specifically flora and fauna in the town that is endangered, at risk. And so we have that, especially for property owners. There's been property owners that come and they buy a piece of property, the seller didn't disclose. So we want, that information is public knowledge. And I don't know if an analysis has been done. So I just bring that to your attention. And that's it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here? Okay, in front row, yeah.
My name's Gail Dubois. I live at 22 Patrick Place. I've lived there for 33 years. I got a petition. I went around to the residents that live across the street from the field and to residents in Quarry Lane, which is a main road. I have 32 names, and some of these people own dogs, and they said that they would not take their dog to a dog park. I have had 7 dogs, and I've taken some to the field on a leash. I would never take my dog to a dog park. So I can give you this. Okay. Some of the issues on the petition is traffic safety. The traffic doesn't go 20 miles an hour. They go 30, 35, and there's a hill.
50, 60.
Yeah, there's a hill coming out in one section, and you can't see. And the homeowners that are on the side of the field, they have a hard time getting out of their driveway. They're afraid of getting hit. There's also, if they put in, parking, they're concerned about a lack of a police presence and, what might go on there during the day. Then there's the issues of cost. The town would be responsible for additional building costs and frequent maintenance. The fields are not flat. They would have to be leveled for a parking lot. The town, and I also learned the town may be liable if a dog or person is injured due to a lack of maintenance, broken fence, equipment, or garbage or hazardous material in the field. And with the revised budget, town spending has been reduced with services cut Positions are limited or not filled. Creating and maintaining a dog park is a poor use of taxpayer money. Some property owners felt that their property values would be devalued by the dog park. And then there's intrinsic value. The field helps support local wildlife. There's turkeys, there's bobcats, there's coyotes, there's fox. We mentioned birds of prey, owls, who hunt the mice, chipmunks, and rabbits in the grasses. Without this field to obtain food, more of these animals will be around our houses looking for food. We like the open space of the field, the fresh air, the scenic vista. We like seeing the various animals. We don't want to see a parking lot, cars, and fencing. We do not feel that a dog park will add to the safety and welfare of the area residents. Thank you.
Mr. Mulholland, could I please see that petition?
I have one more thing I want to add. The Groton and Water Park dog parks are in parks and not in residential areas. The Waterford Dog Park is 4 miles away, 15 minutes, and it has a hiking trail.
Thank you. Anyone else here? Okay. The man in the t-shirt here, thank you.
My name is Thomas Mazzella. I live at 71 Corey Lane. I've been living there since 66. One thing, and the town keeps doing it all constantly. This dog park was voted out maybe 3 to 5 years ago. And now you're trying to push it back down our throats again. That's not right. And then the other thing I want to point out, what's going to stop the out-of-towners from bringing their dogs here? Has anybody considered that? You can't stop them. We put the dog park in, invite your next door neighbors to the next town, and so that they can bring their dogs here. And Roxbury Road is not an ideal road. There's been more deaths on that road than you can shake a stick at that are not published. And the Corey Lane is a crossroad from 161 to Roxbury Road. So we're going to get constant traffic from people from Waterford, from other towns, Old Lyme, Saybrook. I don't know if anybody can tell me why they're bringing this back up. It was turned down several years ago.
Thank you for reminding us.
All right, thank you. I'm all done.
Thank you. Anyone else want to come up? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Tara Wyatt. I live across the street at 150 Roxbury. I'm a resident since 2001. I've lived across the street since 2009. I actually have a background in environmental conservation. I am very familiar with this property, and anybody who's going to tell you that there's not going to be groundwater issues has obviously not walked the property. I'm very familiar with this property. I have been personally escorted out by quite a few coyotes in the past. There obviously are negative impacts of dog parks. I have dogs. I've always had dogs. Used to bring my dogs to the dog park in Waterford until my dog was attacked. Now my dog has had a repercussion of basically having a fear-based behavior, and so I now, as a responsible dog owner, have fenced in my yard. I have plenty of space for that. I exercise my dogs. I walk before 6 a.m. when anybody else is awake, and I do walk at Broadbrook. I walk at the parks. I hike in the woods leashed so that nobody else has to deal with that. There will be an excess of noise. I sit in my backyard, and all I hear on occasion are coyotes, owls. I watch bald eagles, osprey, and great blue herons fly over my house every single day. Swallows, bats. literally, there's so much wildlife in this property, and we're not even getting to the fauna. As far as, there's plants over there that you don't see in other properties because of the traffic, the foot traffic alone. State-wise, this property actually has a natural ecosystem that is protected. I'm gonna hand these out for you. I've highlighted the area that the NDDB has actually
Thank you.
protected with both state and federally listed species, as well as a watershed that includes olive brine brook, freshwater and salt, all the way down to the marsh that is a critical habitat that is protected by the state of Connecticut and federal. This habitat actually has a larger problem than any of us know. So how many times have you not been able to go to Rocky Neck because the water is, we have a little bit of pollution, right? That's because of all the runoff and all the groundwater issues that are caused by the bacteria, not just from the natural state of things, because any ecosystem is going to have bacteria. It depends on the amount of bacteria that is allowed by state regulations. And the Connecticut Water Quality Action Plan is observed in this specific area. All the water that is in the marshes where those eagles actually nest, all the water drains to Bride Lake. Bride Lake is protected because it's on the state property. Nobody can fish it, nobody can go in it. I'm sure some people do, but that then drains where? Into Bride Brook. Bride Brook is all protected. Bride Brook bleeds into the watershed, the marsh at Rocky Neck, where you see the same bald eagles, osprey, herons, egrets feeding. So when we have an excess amount of bacteria, what happens? We close the beaches, okay? We have agriculture on Bride Brook. We have more and more development. We now have apartments. Nobody knows the implication of what those apartments, groundwater, surface water, erosion is actually going to do to these areas because we haven't had them long enough. They're still building, which is mind-boggling that we even allowed that as close to Bride Brook in this protected area as possible. With that said, I'm not for or against necessarily a dog park, but it is a horrible place to have it. I'm almost glad I didn't. So years ago, I was going to put a second floor on my house so I could watch the sunset. I have drone footage and pictures of the sunset over there. It's amazing. It's probably the best sunset in town. If you haven't actually gone, stood on the top of that stone wall, go stand there and watch the sunset. You'll think secondly about what you're doing. That brush, I've seen bobcats, families of bobcats, deer, coyotes numerous times, over and over, all the time. Just to the right, just to the east of the property, on the other side of the house, that was the state house where my neighbors now live, is entirely wetlands. And if you don't believe me, let's go for a hike. That water during a rain season, when it's wet, right now we're in a drought, that water will drain down a trail all the way down into the marsh. It is very rocky. There's a rock quarry that sits on the other side of the brush area that's on these maps that were shown by Jerry. That rock is almost like it looks like a rock quarry like the one up in Oswegatchie. It drains directly over the state road into the marsh where the breeding grounds are. So I'm just gonna give you that picture for topography reasons, so you understand the drainage issues that we're sort of facing. If a sports field goes in, the one that's been considered comparable during the subcommittee meetings that I read through the minutes on, they're comparing to Somers, Connecticut sports fields. That has, I think, 8 fields and practice sites. That's larger than Bride Brook. Where's that gonna go? So when we're talking about 25 acres, we're not also considering there's another 400 acres of space behind there that's state protected property. Okay, and there's numerous other things that are going on there. But with a high traffic sports field, I don't think we could even possibly consider this. And the state would have to do a bacterial study just to test and see where the groundwater bacteria is going, just from the animals that live there, let alone, in addition, another source, which would be dog feces, et cetera, Giardia, all those things. So
thank you.
Thank you.
I just, what were the minutes that you said that you read?
The subcommittee for the sports field complex, there's been 3 meetings this year.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else to speak against the dog park? Yes, ma'am.
Hi there, my name is Michelle Royce Williams. I live at 2 Barrett Drive in Niantic. dog mom to Reed and Daphne, and I am also a current member of the Water and Sewer Commission. I am not speaking here on that behalf. This issue has nothing to do with that commission. I am speaking to you here, though, from my experience as the chair of the Planning Commission previously and the chair of the Plan of Conservation and Development Subcommittee, which developed the most recent Plan of Conservation and Development that the town currently has. Mr. Peck sat on that committee with us, and we did a lot of good work that I wanted to kind of highlight today. I understand, first and foremost, that you are a land use committee and this is a land use decision, but a lot of the operational decisions that will come as a result of the dog park and how it will be run and maintained do have land use implications. So I thank you very much for asking those questions. I also want to take the time to say thank you to our Parks and Rec director and the various Parks and Rec subcommittees, as well as this commission. We're all trying to do good things for the town. We may disagree on what those are, but I commend you for your public service. I know this is a thankless job, and from the bottom of my heart, seriously, thank you. The town has struggled with what to do with this property since it was conveyed in 2009. And we've heard already tonight, even as recently as January of this year, the Dog Park Subcommittee discussed the possibility of putting the park here and then moving it if and when other plans to construct a multi-sport field here come to fruition. The reality is that this is a gorgeous meadow and a valuable piece of open space property in an ecologically sensitive residential neighborhood. The town should evaluate the best use of this property rather than view it as a surplus piece of land to put other things that we are looking to add to our community, like a dog park, like sports field. It shouldn't be an open and available catch-all area. In recent years, we've heard proposals for this parcel that include pickleball, sports fields, now this. The dog park location has also been tough to find. We recently heard tonight about the denial for Darrow Pond. The police station property was once brought up as a place we could put a dog park. So I wanted to point to some of the things in the Plan of Conservation and Development that address this that might be helpful for you to consider as you're thinking about our long-term planning document for the town while you make your decision. First of all, the Plan of Conservation and Development does include recommending a dog park or an off-leash dog area. And I support what Jerry's saying. We had a community survey that was definitely not just dog owners of about 1,500 people. And again, dog park came up as something our community wants. We should definitely look to find one. But there are some other recommendations in the Plan of Conservation and Development that point to this not being an appropriate location for that dog park. First recommendation, to preserve and maintain large unfragmented tracts of open space as land fragmentation is a leading cause of habitat loss. Peeling off a piece of this which is connected to, dozens or hundreds more acres of contiguous open space would be problematic. 2, consider additional protections in residential development areas near watersheds and aquifer recharge areas to ensure that future development has minimal impact to the watershed or aquifer. For instance, developing a groundwater protection plan. Now, I know that this is officially the zoning commission, but unless something has changed, I believe that your responsibilities are also as the Aquifer Protection Agency. And so I think that's something really important to consider. I'll just cite that pet waste has shown to be a significant source of nitrogen in many streams, ponds, and larger bodies of water, which contributes to eutrophication. Dog feces and other pet waste is particularly difficult as dogs are omnivores and they're eating different things than animals in the wild would be, which makes their feces more problematic. It should enter a waterway. Third recommendation from the Plan of Conservation and Development, conduct an open space study and a 10-year needs assessment for recreational facilities in partnership with the Board of Education, and I would say the town too, beyond Parks and Rec. We work in silos sometimes in this town, right? Parks and Rec knows what Parks and Rec needs, Board of Ed knows what they need, Board of Selectmen knows what they need. We need to work together to look at all of the resources and options available to us, all of the things that we want to do, the places that we want to protect, and make a comprehensive plan for how we're going to do that best moving forward. I would also urge the commission to ask some questions about any impact to our shared animal control officer with the town of Waterford. I did not hear that come up tonight, and I thought that would be a relevant thing to ask. So again, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Definitely support a dog park, but not at this property.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here tonight to speak? Yes, sir. Oh, come on up first, yeah.
I'm Anastasia Wyeth. I own a property at 236 Roxbury Road. I've been there since 1999. I'm here for the kids, and I'm here for the residents of the area, because we actually had to move out of our house and went to another neighborhood up the hill because my kids can't walk on the road. We can't ride bikes, can't pull out of our driveways. Yes, it's 25 miles an hour. They don't go 25 miles an hour. It is a cut through to the schools. Those moms are flying by. Can you imagine what happens if there are fields? They're going to kill the kids that live there. You're going to run into our cars. It's already unsafe now. Imagine adding all that extra traffic, especially if you do add in those other courts and complexes and fields. So I'm here for the kids and for the neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Evening. My name is Ryan Brothers. I'm a resident at 149 Roxbury Road, which happens to be the house in question directly next to the field. So I'm here to speak in opposition to placing a dog park at this location. I do not believe it is an appropriate site, and I do not believe the impacts on neighboring homes, road safety, wildlife, and surrounding habitat have been adequately addressed. This property sits immediately adjacent to wooded habitat in a local drainage area. The state natural biodiversity database mapping clearly, and I have a printout here, but I know you already have one from previous speakers. So it clearly shows that documented sensitive habitat and listed species areas adjacent to this site. Even if the proposed dog park is outside the map boundary, the field functions as a larger part of that ecological system, serving as a buffer, a movement corridor, and a foraging area for wildlife. A dog park is not a passive open space. It is a high activity use with barking, off-leash dogs, scent, waste, fencing, parking, and daily disturbance directly beside sensitive habitat. I can also speak to personal experience. I own chickens at that house right next to that dog park, and I can show you a number of dead chickens from the amount of wildlife we have, from bobcats to coyotes to raccoons to possums. You name it, we have it out there. And for all the trouble that they've given me, I love living next to that wildlife. I think that's a natural part of the world, and I think that's important in our town. I am asking the commission to not approve this location unless and until the town can show that these impacts have been fully reviewed. Has DEEP been consulted regarding the nearby listed species habitat? Has a wildlife assessment been performed? Has anyone demonstrated that this use will not negatively affect the adjacent woods, drainage areas, and wildlife corridor? I know it was noted that the slope and grade towards the road, but I encourage you to look at that map and to see the grade and slope on the other side of that slope, which is a steep grade directly down to the drainage area, which is significantly lower than the road area on the other side. I am also strongly concerned about the neighborhood impact. Roxbury Road already has traffic and safety issues, as other speakers have noted tonight. Included limited sight lines near the hill right at the proposed location. I pull out from that driveway, you cannot see people coming over that hill, especially at the speeds that they're driving. I've almost been hit numerous times, and it's a very real issue. Adding a dog park will bring more vehicle trips, more parking demand, more noise, and more activity immediately next to residential homes. That is a major change to the character of this area. The Darrow Pond Dog Park proposal was denied for many of the same reasons: environmental concerns, wildlife impacts, traffic noise, lack of oversight, and the incompatibility with nearby homes. Those same concerns apply here. Moving the proposal from one sensitive residential location to another does not solve the problem. I respectfully ask the Commission to deny this location for a dog park and direct the town to find a more appropriate site away from homes, sensitive habitat, and road safety concerns. And last note, I have 2 dogs, and I would also not bring them to the dog park because of bad previous experiences with my dogs being attacked at dog parks. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
All right. Good evening. My name is Ryan Williams. I live at 2 Barrett Drive in Niantic. I currently serve on the Inland Wetlands Agency, but I want to be clear, that I'm not speaking tonight. I'm speaking tonight as a private citizen with 2 dogs as members of my immediate family. I don't want to say that I'm for the dog park or against it. I think that was a great term, by the way. I will add that I'm also completing a year-long Master Woodland Manager program through the Connecticut Forest and Parks Association, which has given me a deeper appreciation for the importance of thoughtful land stewardship. By the way, little shameless plug, great program, and they're actually taking applications for next year's cohort. Based on what I've learned through the program, I have serious concerns about the proposed dog park location and its potential impact on wildlife, particularly because this site is currently open meadow or grassland habitat. Connecticut's bird populations are already facing significant pressure. The Connecticut Bird Atlas has reported that approximately 64% of the state's breeding bird species are declining, which should give us all of us pause before converting existing habitat to a more intensive recreational use. Meadow and shrubland birds are especially vulnerable. Species such as prairie warblers and field sparrows depend on open grassland, meadow, and shrubland environments, and those habitats have been declining across Connecticut. And I'm pretty sure Jerry really highlighted that that's what this field makes up. Even familiar birds that many of us associate with our own backyards, including the American robin and an eastern bluebird, have shown concerning population declines in recent years. For that reason, placing a dog park in an open meadow or grassland could further reduce the habitat value of this site and contribute to the broader decline of birds and other wildlife. Before moving forward, I would ask whether the town has fully explored conservation-focused alternatives, including programs such as Audubon in-action grants, which support community-driven habitat restoration and education projects, as well as broader open space funding opportunities. I would also like to know whether East Lyme has consulted with the Connecticut DEP Service Forester or Connecticut DEP wildlife biologist to evaluate the site. On a side note, through the Connecticut Forest and Parks program, I have met all of those contacts, and I'm sure they'd be happy to come out. Their input would help the town better understand how converting this open space into a dog park could affect birds, pollinators, and other wildlife. I would further encourage the town to review available Connecticut DEP grant opportunities, including funding related to resilient forestry and habitat planning. If those opportunities have not already been pursued, they may offer a better path for managing this land in a way that protects its ecological value. I've actually emailed some of that stuff to Jerry already. For these reasons, I respectfully ask that the Commission not to approve this proposal until a more complete environmental review has been completed. I also urge the town to consider alternative locations, such as areas near the I-95 project, once that work is completed, including the current temporary commuter lot that is there now, which I believe in the plans will be torn up and everything moved to the commuter lot that they just built. If that site is not needed for school bus parking, because that would actually be a great spot for school bus parking, or another municipal use, it may provide a more appropriate location for a dog park with far less impact on wildlife. Thank you for your time and consideration. I would also just like to simply add one note that I did have here. I think it was stated earlier that there are no currently dog park in town, which is potentially incorrect, maybe not a public dog park. There is a private dog park at the Gateway, Sound at Gateway, which is the apartment condo complex, and one that potentially could be looked at as maybe a joint venture. Maybe that is something that is done with the subcommittee dog park, I'm sorry for the name, and something they could look at because that is quite a large dog park up on the hill that I was made aware of through the Inland Wetland Agency, as there was an issue up there. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your service. And again, not against the dog park, just believe that we can place it in a more of a responsible location.
Thank you. Is there anyone that hasn't spoken yet that has something to say about the dog park? Oh, okay, thank you.
I'm not as well prepared as everyone, but I support all their efforts, and I do commend the Parks and Rec Department and the Girl Scouts for all their efforts and research. I live on Roxbury Road. My name is Pam McCauley. I've lived there for 33 years, and I feel that it's an unsafe location for traffic we do not have a sidewalk there, and a lot of people ride bikes and walk on that road and run on that road and do walk their dogs, so that would be a safety issue, I think. There is a hill there that causes blind spots, and I'm not against a dog park in town, but I don't think that's the right property. I think that we could maybe look at pre-existing properties that already have parking lots and already have fences, that maybe we can, put a section in for dogs. So that's my
Thank you.
2 cents. Thanks. Thank you.
We also have letters people have written
there's one
in
more
that we need
person.
to read if there's no one else.
He's right there alongside the wall.
Oh,
They've been lining up.
Come on up.
I'll try to be quick. I know my earlier comment was maybe a little redundant. I hope to contribute in a way that maybe synthesizes some of this. And it's really wonderful and heartwarming to see how many people really love and care about preserving the land in this town. And just to extend some recognition on both sides of this issue. Jerry, Rocky Neck, the beach looks amazing. This is a conversation Jerry and I have had going back a few years, and the beach here is a very special place to me. So is this area. I grew up right on Corey Lane, around the corner, so some of my earliest memories as a budding 4-year-old naturalist were walking around the woods there with my family. I know how special a place it is. It seems that the dog owners of East Lyme deserve a space. But this space is clearly very precious and also very vulnerable due to its location, all the environmental concerns raised by quite a few people. So I would just add that, and Marjorie Meekoff as well, the pollinator pathways. It's another reason why East Lyme is a really special place. There is a lot of wonderful, beautiful things happening in terms of land preservation, use of native plants. That happens to be my livelihood as well. I am an ecological garden designer. I am here in town from time to time, but I tend to have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I do the garden design work down at the Book Barn for Randy White. And I love East Lyme, and being part of this meeting just makes me love it even more, that people are really this passionate about caring for the land here. That really kind of speaks to my soul. I just want to kind of reiterate, reemphasize the need for testing. That seems like a no-brainer. It seems like there's plenty of reason why people would be concerned about not only the surface runoff, which was mentioned, but there's also the issue of groundwater. Groundwater flow is different from surface runoff in ways that I don't fully understand, that requires specialists to look into that. So I would just, I support more testing, obviously, but I support this land being preserved as it is. I think the wildlife that depend on it are part of this town as well, and they deserve some recognition. The land itself deserves recognition. Dog owners and dogs. Dogs are also members of this community, and they do deserve a place, but this just doesn't seem like the right place. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we read our correspondence, is there anyone else here to talk about the dog park? Okay, would someone like to read the first letter from a Miss Tara Wyatt?
I spoke. She spoke.
Oh, you spoke. Okay, so we don't need to read that one. Did Teresa Kegley speak tonight?
No, she's out of time.
Okay, so could you read that one?
Do you want me to read it, Nancy? Is it too small?
Please.
Carrie, would you like to read this one?
Sure. Greetings, Mr. Mulholland. My name is Teresa Kegley from Middletown, Connecticut, and I previously lived on Rathburn Road in Niantic, as well as Dimmick Road in Waterford. I understand there are 2 items on tonight's meeting agenda. 4C requesting a special permit under section 20.1.2F for the construction of a fenced dog park associated parking area on property located on Roxbury Road. As I am traveling this week in Virginia, I am unable to attend tonight's meeting. I would like to have on record my strong opposition to these 2 agenda items. Niantic has long been noted by local residents as well as traveling tourists to be a small, quaint village with a personable charm to it. Adjoining towns such as Waterford, New London, even the town that parents Niantic, East Lyme, have lost their quaint charm by allowing businesses to slowly encroach on them, causing them to become more of a city. With all the modernizations of that the city brings. Niantic attempted several years ago to keep up with the modernization of cities by allowing a McDonald's restaurant to be constructed and operated on Main Street. Since then, the business was shut down and is now a credit union. This is one example of Niantic attempting to keep up with the Joneses and compromising the integrity of their unique charm that is hard to recapture. Niantic has done a good job drawing tourists to it by having several businesses that are wholesome and entertaining. Book barns, the theater, several restaurants, ice cream, coffee shops, specialty shops, Airbnbs, and non-chain run hotels. An area to access beach use, watercraft activities that are closely monitored to keep them from being a disturbance. Enjoy bird and wildlife, summertime concerts, a large park that is well kept, holiday parades. Hartford Marathon 5K activities, a boardwalk for exercise and reflection, craft fairs on the green, antique car shows, even a beautiful view of our sound. These are all businesses and activities that are healthy for a well-desired village town. Several years ago, the electric train track was allowed to come through the town. There was a great concern that at the time Niantic's charm is being lost. I believe that did occur. Unfortunately, you cannot always go back like Niantic did with McDonald's when major businesses start coming. Amtrak is a prime example of that. My husband and I travel quite a bit via car throughout the United States. We're drawn to small villages and hamlet properties. My main opinion is that we can identify that these towns are governed not to allow the city to expand them. Presently, Niantic has managed to keep this from happening. While the dark park seems relatively innocent, it's a step towards modernizing our little village. I strongly believe Niantic's charm is being threatened and compromised gravely. It is most respectful request that you as the stewards of the small village take great heart to this responsibility and matter and preserve what so many larger towns and cities have lost. The great building boom of the major cities and suburban areas of the 70s and 80s in Connecticut, proof of this occurrence. Please consider your decision wisely. Respectfully, Teresa Kegley.
Thank you. Did Linda, is it Preto, did she speak tonight? Okay, I could read hers really quickly. To the Zoning Board Commission, I am a resident of Roxbury Road and I'm writing to express my opposition to the proposed dog park. I do love dogs, but I believe this location for a dog park will negatively affect the surrounding neighborhood. My concerns include increased traffic, parking during peak hours, which would create inconvenience and potential safety hazards for residents and emergency vehicles, public safety concerns involving unleashed dogs, additional maintenance, waste management, and sanitation concerns that may affect nearby properties in the town budget, contagious diseases and parasite contamination with so many dogs utilizing the area. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Linda Preto, 148 Roxbury Road. And we have another letter from Sarah Powers. Did she speak tonight? Would you like to read this one?
From Sarah Powers. Dear Commissioner Mulholland and Zoning Commission members. Oh, this is, this part, okay. I am also opposed to the dog park and possible future sports complex on Roxbury Road. Again, sensitive habitat, meadow marshes will be destroyed for an amenity that is not needed. There is a great deal of open space for dogs and dog owners from Rocky Neck to Oswegatchie Hills, etc. Please do not destroy this critical habitat for ospreys, eagles, and much other wildlife already under stress from development. Best, Sarah Powers.
Thank you. Last call for anyone that wants to say anything. If not, if Mr. Locken wants to address any of the comments, and then we'll go back to the commissioners and close the hearing.
I'll keep this
Okay,
brief.
thank you.
Robert Welsh, I live at 22 Corey Lane. As people have spoken about, traffic doesn't just go down Roxbury, it flies up Corey Lane as well. Additional traffic in that blind spot I think could be dangerous. That field is, like everybody said, there's tons of wildlife, but as of just this past spring, there's active turkey nesting there. There's deer walking all through that field like crazy. And I was born and raised in Mystic. And I just remember when I was little, Black Dog moved in downtown Mystic. And then this old guy said, well, there goes the neighborhood. And we didn't understand, and very shortly, everything swept in. It's all businesses coming in. It's starting to come back to sole-owned proprietorship, but what happened is now it's just completely touristed out. You get stuck going across the drawbridge, and I'm afraid that I do agree a dog park would be amazing in this town, but as of right now, that piece of property, I think it's a slippery slope to open it up to anything. Once one thing goes in, then it's easier for another piece to just chip off chunks of that property. So I just want to go on record. I respectfully request that you guys decline that, and I thank you for your time. Jerry, I think it'd be a great thing to have in the town. We just got to find a better spot. Thank you.
Thank you. Do the commissioners have any more questions? Does Mr. Locken have anything else to say? If not, we can close the hearing.
I make a motion, we close the hearing.
Lauren has something. Yeah.
A couple questions. Like this, as well as the last public hearing, there were no comments from the planning commission. Why?
There's no referral required for a special permit. That's a sole jurisdiction of this commission. So there is no referrals required. If you had a text amendment or a zone change, there'd be referrals to a number of reporting agencies. Under a special permit, it is not.
Okay. I can't find anything in the RU40 zone regulation that would allow a dog park.
You would look under the general regulations in section 20, I believe it's 20 point, it's essentially the last section, and it's F, which allows town buildings and uses by special permits in section 20 at the last section.
Okay.
I don't have it memorized, but close enough, hopefully. I can look it up if you'd like.
Any other questions from the commission? Okay. Does someone want to make a motion?
I make a motion, we close the public hearing for the dog park.
All those in favor say
Aye.
aye. Aye. Let's take a 3 or 4 minute break before we start the regular meeting. Some people may need a couple minutes. I have a question though. Do we have the redacted areas for the... I gotta stand up. The hearing is closed on the redacted areas.
You know who Michelle Royce Williams is? Just so you know, you get a history. She's the one who wrote the current VOCB. She's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Amazing. Yeah, she's wonderful, and so she'll be the one. I hope she's the one to also revise it, because we have to do it every day. She's amazing. Yes, may I help you, sir? Yeah. Thank you. I got the what? The calendar's wrong? Where?
Can you fix it?
I don't care about what they're doing over there.
Can you
Where?
fix it?
He's the one that keeps me on task with running this stuff here. He's got the house for sale on the way to, across from the church. Catholic church. Going to my place.
Thank you.
Are you leaving now? You're not gonna stay for the grand finale? You never know. Well, we can vote on the dog park tonight. I can make a motion, yes. Anybody can. Yes? Perfect. You tell me later? Anybody need a cracker? It's my dinner.
That's twice now. Once with the housing bill.
Got a lot of pitchforks.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. We'll continue with our regular meeting. And the first thing on our agenda is the application of Peter Iflin for a special permit under section 16.1.3B, tidal marsh docks of the East Lyme zoning regulations to remove and construct a new dock on property located on Old Black Point Road, Assessor's Map 08.3 Lot 1, opposite 100R Old Black Point Road. So, we're ready for a discussion?
Yeah, I'm okay with the with the dock itself. We have all the verifying paperwork that we need for that. And that's all this is for tonight, Bill, correct? It's only for the dock, correct?
Essentially, yes, and of course.
I know, but when you say essentially yes, it confuses me. I want to make sure that it is just for the dock.
Including your discussion regarding grading and any peripheral issues, but your vote is going to be for the application as it's spelled out in my memo or on your agenda.
Okay, well, the application, let me see, I had it.
Since Deep approved, doesn't have a problem with replacing the dock. I certainly don't.
No, but I have a problem with the application, because on his application, it also states the little safety parking thing, so he doesn't run over the...
And there was testimony to that tonight, so it's certainly up to the commission. You sort of had discussion, you had input, so essentially that's part of any motion you make for the motion to approve the doc, it's obviously included.
Do you have the application?
That.
Okay, well, my question is, and I've been on zoning for quite many years here now. What I have a question is that when it says on the application, the description of the special permit requested, it says remove the old dock, construct a new dock, install water line from nearby water valve to dock, and place boulders off-site driveway as emergency stop minor regrading. Whenever we try to, or whenever we vote on something, and it's different than the application, is that how we get ourselves into trouble when there's a miscommunication?
No, it's not a miscommunication because the application has been adjusted based on the review of staff, based on the review by the commission, and some input from DEP. So as you work through the process, it's been refined and refined and refined again to where you're here at the point of voting. So that's inclusive in your discussions, and you refine it as you have with any special permits over the years.
From what I understood, the grading wasn't being changed. It would be put back how it was after he just put in some poles and slabs?
That was the testimony, yes.
He did not include any sort of barriers.
There was discussion, and it's in the paper.
It's in there?
Yeah.
I just can't see it, okay. I'm sure you're right.
Anybody else have comments?
I'm good.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'd like to move to approve the application of Peter Iflin for a special permit under section 16.1.3B, title Marsh Docks of the East Lyme zoning regs, to remove and construct a new dock on property located on Black Point Road, Old Black Point Road, Assessors Map 8.3, Lot 1, opposite 100R Old Black Point Road.
I second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? It passed 600.
And we will publish next Thursday, effective on Friday.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Next, we have the application of Kyung Moon Hyun of Olympic Taekwondo Academy of East Lyme for special permit under section 8.2.1 for an indoor recreation facility on property located at 170 Flanders Road, Unit D10. Is there any discussion or motion on this?
I make a motion that we accept his application. I think it's a great idea. So I'm making a motion to approve application of Hyung Hyung. Sorry if I butchered that, I really apologize. Of Olympic Taekwondo Academy of East Lyme for a special permit under section 8.2.1 for an indoor recreation facility on property located at 170 Flanders Road, Unit D10.
I second.
Any discussion or? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? It passed 600.
Madam Chair, we will publish next Thursday, effective on Friday.
Thank you. Next, we have the application of Jerry Locken for the East Lyme Parks and Recreation for a special permit under section 20.1.2F for the construction of a fenced dog park and associated parking area on the property located on Roxbury Road, Assessor's Map 15.0, Lot 8. Discussion?
I have comments.
Go, start.
Okay.
Start us off.
I'm impressed with everybody's testimony, both for and against. In my humble opinion, groundwater does not equal surface runoff. And I do see that this property sits where it does under a major aquifer. Therefore, I also know that imidacloprid is the active ingredient in most dog collars and in most medications given to dogs. God forbid they get worms. It's a 15-year residual in the soil excreted through urine. It's a no-brainer. This is a lousy place for a dog park, in my opinion.
I agree with you too, and as a result with that, I'm ready to propose a motion.
Is there anybody else that would like to just give their opinion first?
Yeah, I heard a lot of good and a lot of against, and I really want to see a dog park in this town. I heard a lot about safety issues and traffic, but mostly environmental, and the fact that it's really not supported by our POC. So I don't think I can support this location. I'd like to see us maybe look at a different location.
Norm, do you have?
This is a wonderful spot. This road, the whole road, is one of the oldest roads in town. And to preserve this beautiful vista and environment, this piece of land it would be a terrible shame to have anything built on it. Nothing against dog parks, but this is too pristine a place to have that.
I think I agree. It doesn't sound like the town's had a lot of experts, look into it and give testimony. Not that we don't want a dog park, but again, I just from what everybody, for all the reasons stated tonight, I don't think it's the best place.
I feel it's 24-plus acres of pristine meadowland. If it gets destroyed, there's no way we can get that back. We're not going to get it back. Groundwater, surface water, ecological disruption that will be catastrophic to that meadowland and everything that lives on it. The residents came out in force. They've spoken. They live there. They know the lay of the land a lot better than we do. They live there. And I'm for a dog park. I just think that I hope that they keep at it and they try to find a different location that would not impact a 24-plus acre pristine meadowland right now. So with that, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to deny application of Jerry Locken for East Lyme Parks and Rec for a special permit under section 20.1.2 for the construction of a fenced dog park and associated parking area on property located on Roxbury Road, Assessor's Map 15.0, lot number 8.
Is there a second? Nancy seconded. All those in favor of a denial, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? It didn't pass.
Madam Chair, we'll publish next Thursday.
Okay, thank you. So hopefully, one of these days we'll come up with a spot for a dog park. Lastly, I believe we have the application of James Quill for a proposed text amendment to section 8.2 by adding section 8.2.18 to permit storage facilities in the CA zone subject to special permit and with additional controls in section 25.5 of the East Lyme zoning regulations. We had the hearing at our last meeting. If you recall, it was for all commercial zones to be able to put in a storage facility. And just to refresh your memory, we used to have them in the commercial zones and they were taken out and put in light industrial. So, discussion? Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Sesko sat through the hearing, so I was going to have her switch with you for this. Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Sure. And we had a lot of residents come out not in favor of this. And also based on the record and what you just said, that it's already in light industrial area and not in commercial zone for a reason, I would be opposed to it.
I'm not too excited about the change. It really belongs in an industrial park. We've tried awful hard to preserve the appearance of streets, especially in the CA and CB zones. And I just don't see, and saw the rendering of what was planned, but I feel the CA is not appropriate.
I would have to agree. I drove through all the CA and CB zones this afternoon, and there are a lot of residences in these zones, and a lot of the businesses are small, like a mom and pop restaurant or a laundromat, or to have something in this scale, I don't think would work that well. And since we already have a zone for it, I don't see the need for a change, but.
That's how I feel too.
I agree too.
We already have a zone for it, and I think something like this would just be too intrusive on that whole area, and especially for the residences and stuff, and it would be a text amendment that would change for the whole town, and I'm not in favor of that for this type of business. Or zone change. I'm sorry, text amendment change.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we deny the application for Peter Iflin for a special permit under section 16.1.3B. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong name. Sorry, James Quill, I'm sorry. I'll do it over. I make a motion that we deny the application of James Quill for a proposed text amendment to section 8.2 by adding section 8.2.18 to permit storage facilities in the CA zone subject to special permit with additional controls in section 25.5 of the East Lyme zoning regulations.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second to deny the application. All those in favor of denying?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? The application was denied.
We'll publish next Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one left, the application of Miroslav Pinkos for a coastal area management site plan review to demolish and construct a single-family dwelling at 8 Billow Road, Niantic. And would someone like to read Mr. Mahalan's memo?
Okay.
It's
Okay. To zoning, East Lyme Zoning Commission for William Mulholland, zoning official, coastal area management review, 8 Billow Road, Niantic, dated June 2nd, 2026. As the commission is aware, a coastal site plan reviews are a state mandated program authorizing Chapter 444 of the Connecticut General Statutes. This statute delegates legal authority to zoning commissions to adopt regulations and regulate activities not otherwise exempted occurring above the CJL or coastal jurisdiction line as identified by the Connecticut DEP and within defined coastal boundary of their respective communities, protect coastal resources and ensure compliance with the CAM Act's coastal goals and policies. The board is charged with the review of coastal site plans and CAM Act's coastal goals and policies. The board is charged with review of coastal site plans that may approve, modify, or deny activities proposed after evaluating the specific site and considering the potential effects, both beneficial and adverse, of the activities on coastal resources and their consistency with applicable state coastal goals and policies. In acting in a coastal site plan, the commission must, wait, I'm sorry, I can't read it. The commission must state its findings and reasons for the decision. To approve, the board must find that the proposed activity is consistent with all applicable coastal policies and standards, and whether or not any potential adverse impacts of the proposed activity on both coastal resources and future water development are acceptable. I note that as of October 1st, 2025, the state statutes regulating coastal area management site plans were modified. The new law requires that all new individual single-family residential structures, if in the coastal zone, be subject to a CAM site plan. The statute requires a 35-day referral period to Connecticut DEP for review and comment. During its review, the board should consider the characteristics of the site, including the location and condition of any of its on-site coastal resources. The commission must find in an approval that the application is consistent with all applicable goals and conditions of the Act, and that all reasonable measures to mitigate any adverse impacts of the proposed activity on both coastal resources and future water-dependent activities. In this application, the subject property is located within the Black Point Beach Association's boundaries. As the board is aware, the association has its own zoning authority. Because of this circumstance, the town's zoning review is limited to their municipal coastal site plan review. Jurisdiction. The project consists of demolition of a single-family dwelling and its replacement with a new single-family structure. The home will be a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath home. The lot is essentially flat, approximately 60 by 90 plus feet in depth. Is at approximately 300 feet from Niantic Bay and is not in a flood zone. There are no coastal resources on site nor adjacent to the site, and therefore will be no impact on coastal resources. In conclusion, the Commission will need to make a finding as to whether the application is consistent with all the applicable goals and policies of the CAM Act. A review of this proposal finds it compliant with all applicable zoning regulation and coastal regulations. The nearest coastal resource is a beach located on an adjacent property. During construction, silt fences will be installed to mitigate any erosion or adverse impacts on coastal resources.
Thank you. Do we have any comments? I think it's pretty cut and dry.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
If no one has any comments. I make a motion to approve the application of Marisol Pienkos, and I apologize if I said it wrong, for a coastal area management site plan review to demolish and construct a single-family dwelling at 8 Billow Road. Reasons: number one, applicant is consistent with all applicable goals and conditions for the CAM Act. Number two, applicant has taken all reasonable measures to mitigate any adverse impacts of the proposed activity on both coastal resources and future water-dependent uses.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It passed 600.
Yes.
Okay, we can move on to the minutes. I assume you've all read them. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of June 4th, 2026 regular meeting.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? They pass 600. I see we have no old business, no subcommittee reports. New business going forward, we're going to have the application of Margaret C. Sullivan for a coastal area management site plan review for the demolition and construction of a single-family dwelling at 60 Sunrise Avenue in Niantic. And Mr. Mulholland, will you please schedule that?
Yes.
Thank you. Also, we're going to be looking at the application of Carolyn Redmond for a coastal area management site plan review for the demolition and construction of a single-family dwelling at 68 East Shore Drive, Niantic. Would you also schedule that one? Thank you. Does the committee have anything they want to bring up tonight?
Yeah, I do. When we have meetings, could they please leave the air on? People we're all hot, dying, but see, everybody's hot. I see you women out there. We need the air on.
Bill's cold.
Well, he needs to wear his, we'll bring you a shawl, Mr. Mulholland.
Is there someone we can talk to about that?
Yes, I will inquire.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Anything else?
I have something real quick.
Okay.
So at the last meeting, we had several applications, and the people didn't bother to show up. They didn't call to say they weren't coming. They just didn't show up. And I think that it would behoove us to extract a little fine from these people, to be honest.
Let me make a comment. We've had some staff adjustments, and that incorrected people will be here. We've had a change, as you know, Jess left us, and
Staff adjustments of what?
in terms of processing materials, informing applicants, sending letters, et cetera, we're pretty overwhelmed now. We're very busy, and the town is booming, whether we like it or not, it's booming, and so we're trying to catch up. We have 2 items, we should have 3, but there's no funding, and so we're getting to the point where we need help. The town is no longer a little town, we all know that as we drive around, there's a lot going on. So we think we have corrected that issue, and we very seldom, and can't remember the last time no one showed up, except that guy. So we've addressed that. So thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you. We read all the correspondence already in the hearing.
Did we mark the exhibits?
Yes.
One or
Yes,
however?
there's one right here. Right here is A, yeah. That's for you. Let's move on to public delegations. Public delegations is a time when members of the public are invited to speak to the commission regarding zoning land use items that are not on the agenda. Is there anyone here tonight still? Yes, sir, come on up. And again, it's items that were not on the agenda tonight.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Good evening. My name is Jason Harthen. My wife Colleen and I are public school educators, and we own a short-term rental here in Niantic. We're not absentee investors or a large corporation. We're regular people who have invested years of work, time, and resources restoring and caring for our Niantic home because we love this community. I understand there will be a formal public hearing in the future, in the near future, but I wanted to take this opportunity to put my concerns on the record. We support reasonable regulation of short-term rentals. I support registration, permits, local contact information, safety inspections, occupancy, and parking standards, and consequences for repeated verified violations. My concern is the proposal presented to this commission on May 7th does not appear to reflect the balanced approach recommended by the Ad Hoc Short-Term Rental Committee after 14 months of research and public input. The committee's first recommendation was to allow short-term rentals and limit their growth. The proposal put before you instead limits them to commercial districts and certain mixed-use buildings while imposing a 14-day minimum stay. For most existing operators, including us, this is not a regulation, it's a functional ban. And I know there's talk about pre-existing, non-conforming, but for me it's not a policy solution. It creates uncertainty, litigation risk, and a shrinking pool of allowed properties. A fair permitting system is better for the town, owners, neighbors, and enforcement. If the town's concerns are noise, parking, overcrowding, trash, or absentee ownerism, then let's regulate those problems directly. Require registration, require inspections, require a local responsible contact, set occupancy and parking standards, revoke permits for repeated violations. Those are targeted solutions aimed at actual problems. I respectfully ask the Commission to reconsider the May 7th proposal and work toward a regulatory framework that reflects the committee's recommendations. Allow responsible short-term rentals, limit growth reasonably, and establish meaningful standards and enforcements. Regulate the problems, hold bad actors accountable, but please do not adopt a proposal that effectively eliminates responsible short-term rentals for most of East Lyme.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Mulholland, what do you have for us tonight?
Briefly, given the hours, et cetera. Monday night we had a presentation by the regional COG on the housing growth statutes that have been adopted by the state, mandated by the state. It was presented by two members of the COG, and the director was also here. We had, I think maybe 15 people, 18. Some people attended or not. I have a folder somewhere, maybe you have it, pass out the handouts from that meeting. It's informational purposes. Some of the mandates, deadline for the zoning is July 1, which we certainly won't make it. Most times the region will not be there, will not make that deadline. The COG is not ready. Most of the COGs in the state are not ready.
I've heard a lot of them, it's true, right? Is they're like way behind, like not even close.
One is way behind, not even close. I'm not concerned that we're not ready, but I did start drafting some materials based on that presentation. We're going to talk more about it. We have a subcommittee, and we were going to have a joint meeting with planning and zoning, which was on Monday night. So our planner and I are talking. The talk is about 600 hours to write it. We proposed hiring a consultant. We've explored that to assist us because Gary and I are pretty well flat out with little staff to support us and sitting down and drafting things like this. They're talking 600 hours. The consultant wanted $100,000 to do it.
Oh my, that's a lot of money.
We all know what our budgets are, so we're not sure. The alternative is to let COG do it for us, and they are way behind. So we're going to make an effort in the office to put something together. I put an email out to the town attorney today asking for some type of assistance. I'm going to intend to meet with Dan to ask that he allow that support. We'll do the drafting and ask for them to perhaps set eyes to look at what we can do. When you read this material, you'll see they talk about transit-oriented district. If we do that, and you have to have less than 8% of your land area as commercial, which we do, then we can require parking, and I'm a big fan of parking. The statute eliminates your requirement for parking, but we think that we may be okay in the big picture with some creative zoning. I think it's legally approached, we've already started working on. Monday night, I worked all night on that because I thought myself, oddly enough, and it sounds strange to work in my sleep sometimes. And
Do you need Nancy Call to go down there and answer your phones and field your calls and stuff while you're doing this very important thing? I'm sure Mrs. Claw won't mind.
there's going to be a lot of work involved on the zoning side, a lot of work on the planning side.
She can work both the phones. She can multitask.
Yeah, and we're not sure how we're going to get there yet because the state's not sure. I mean, they've mandated this, but every town in the state has this problem. And I, for one, think we should be involved and not let somebody else draft regulations for us. It's our community.
I agree.
We all live here. We should have input. I think COG would appreciate that as well because they don't have the planning staff to get it done either. And there are no planners or zoners out there looking for work. So it's going to back up statewide. We're still going to make an effort to meet our deadlines and commitments. I'm anticipating probably more early fall. But it depends on what we can assemble. We had hoped to have a private consultant do the heavy lifting, and that doesn't look like that's going to occur. At times, the town has to invest in itself. I'm a fan of that. I think this is that time, but I certainly don't hold the purse strings. Because this can change the face of the town for a lot for the future.
I don't think anything's going to move until after the election.
Well, it's going to be, we still need to, zoning has an obligation and a mandate. So we have to look at that piece of it. If something changes at the state level, well, we'll address it then, but I think we need to do our homework and get going. If this was adopted in January 1, we're already behind, not really enough time for communities to muster the forces to address this. Some communities, there's only one or two that have been able to get ahead. So that's kind of where we're at. Please read the material. There's a lot more material out there, but this is a start from the community today, and we will be bringing materials back, and we will be talking, and certainly we'll get together.
Mr. Mulholland, what could we do as a committee to get ready for this, other than read the packet?
Reviewing the statute, reviewing these materials, because I think in this case, the preference is to spoon feed the commission the materials, because the COG is heavily involved and they're mandated to be heavily involved by statute. So we're taking our cues and clues from them, but we're still going to try to get ahead of it at staff level in the office so that we might be able to facilitate ahead. And maybe we have a better idea or not than what the COG will come up with. So we're going to massage this and work on it. We've been doing it right along anyway. The statute is difficult to read. It's quite extensive, but it is a mandate, another unfunded mandate.
Well, thank you to you and Gary Geschel for sitting down and doing this for our town. Thank you very much for your service for that.
So, we'll be talking to you all and asking for your input. We're going to need some legal help to make sure what we're doing is, and what we're bringing forward and recommending is going to stand the legal test. And quite frankly, many of us think there's going to be a lot of litigation once this thing gets going statewide.
Just a comment. I was there, and the statute applies to only commercial zones. And there's no parking requirements. It's in my opinion, an outrageous change of zoning atmosphere. We might talk about taking a proactive approach against this. I mean, slowly our controls are being eaten away. For example, imagine Black Point Road, which is a commercial zone to Crosley Court. I believe that's the boundary, the southernmost Crosley Court. Mostly residential, nice little neighborhood. I see they're promoting mixed use. I see that ripe for the picking, knocking down houses and destroying that neighborhood. We might think about converting it to a residential zone. I recommended many years ago that we convert that into a neighborhood business zone, which neighborhood business zones do not exist in town, but I wanted to create one. But I think we got to take it a step further, because neighborhood business would probably be considered a commercial zone. So think about that, and maybe some other proactive approaches. I don't know if historic districts would be a prevention of this. Very difficult to form historic districts, but it's another thought.
Since you and Nancy are on the joint committee, would you want to maybe, with Bill, propose some proactive text amendments?
I wanted to just jump in for a minute. One of the things they talk about is what's called a summary review for middle housing and for housing apartment buildings. That summary review essentially means that developer, Mr. Smith, would just go to the zoning office and say, I'm submitting this development proposal. You have no choice but to sign it. No parking, no review, no anything. Done. And that's mandated. We're talking about maybe this summary review, or I'm talking about, and I need to explore legally whether the zoning board could do this summary review. If you could, and we adopt this very specific zone that's going to be allowed, that would allow us to have parking, that's going to be the real control, because if I can require parking, every developer is going to build. You know, if anybody's been in Boston, you know if you're the last guy home, you're not parking anywhere near where you live. You're 5 blocks away. You're getting home at 3 in the morning. That's what, in my opinion, this regulation is going to do in a lot of places. It's going to exacerbate parking, because if you can't park where you live, you're going to park on the street or somewhere else in a public parking lot, and we're going to have a traffic problem. And all these small villages are going to have that problem. If we can do the summary review at your level, one of the things that came out of it, Norm, you were there, and certainly you were there as well, we can draft special architectural regulations in addition to what we have, because they have to be more specific. Our Section 34 architectural regs are more generalized. We talk a lot about neighborhood character. This new statute wants us to be specific, but we're thinking, or I'm thinking, I can layer this up, so that there are layers of review, still a summary review where you can't say no unless it's for public safety purposes, and that's what the statute says. And the question is, what is that? And that has not been litigated, and we know it's going to be. But those are some of the things we're thinking we can do. Instead of being approved in my office, we get the benefit of a commission level review. Whether that's legal or not is yet to be determined.
I have a question about that. When Attorney Blaisdell, our town attorney, came here that time to explain to us about all this stuff, did I understand him correctly when he said that he was on something in Hartford that had to deal with all of this and to bring it down? Because I remember him talking about middle housing and how he couldn't buy a house here when he moved here and all that stuff. So what I want to know is how involved is our town attorney with the stuff that's coming out of Hartford?
I don't know the answer to that. I do recall now something
Mhm.
that he had said. I sent him an email this morning saying I needed to chat with him about the housing growth stuff. We're going to need legal counsel.
But if he's on another commission that's out of Hartford, is that really in our town's best interest?
And I don't know the answer to that, whether he is a conflict or not. We'll explore that. But that's kind of where we're at. I consider myself pretty good on the legal end, but I'm not an attorney.
Have you reached out to him before today to discuss this?
In general, because if you recall, he came to speak to us about this.
A couple months ago, yeah.
Yeah, because that's when I reached out. And we're kind of waiting to see what COG is going to do, and COG is slow to get going. So that's kind of the status of this housing growth plan, and of course, on the planning side, they've got to do a whole lot of work as well, a lot of work. And writing a housing plan, a affordability plan for the town of East Lyme.
Is there any way we can find out if our town attorney is on?
I've reached out to him, so I haven't heard from him today, and I sent that out earlier today.
Because I don't want to misquote him, but that was my impression, that he's on some.
We'll explore that, and we'll find out.
Thank you.
what
Thank you,
the
Mr.
status
Mulholland.
is. But I wanted to bring you up to speed. This is weighing on us, along with everything else. But we think we're headed in the right direction. We could hit a roadblock in 3 days and say, no, you can't do that, and it's got to be done this way. I like to think we can be creative of ourselves and let them test us, let them litigate it.
It would be nice if our town attorney would feel that same way.
And not, I'm not looking to spend the town's money and say, let's do this and let them litigate. But I think we should dare to be creative. State was, why not us?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the quality of life and character in this community. We all live here. And I think the state in general was well intended, but I don't think they got it right, because I think it adversely affects, in my opinion, all these small villages and towns in the state. And
I have one more question. Did I understand him correctly when he came a couple months ago that he is also an elected member on Waterford's zoning and planning, because they do theirs together, they combine them?
that was my understanding. But anyway, that's my report. There's a lot more going on.
Bill, could you contact a few other zoning officials that you know that might have some ideas?
Yeah, I've already done that. I
Yeah.
just got a seminar up in Meriden 6 or 7 weeks ago, and the governor was there and all kinds of speakers. It was the small cities in Connecticut to go to the list of the speakers. And this issue came up, and I was at a round table of 8 or 9 people. And I think the guy, the planner was from Bristol, but there were 2 or 3 of us. And we were all kind of kidding around, but we were exploring. And 3 of us went, individually said, yeah, we've got a plan. We're going to rezone the state property as affordable housing districts. And all 3 of us essentially said at the same time, and everybody looked at each other, you're working on that, I'm working on that, yeah, you're working on that. We're exploring all these options. And was there a question of, could we put it, if we had to do it, could we put it in a state-owned area like out near the prison?
Yeah, Roxbury Road.
Is that something we could do? Well, so we're all struggling with it, we're all talking about it, all the planners are talking, the zoners are talking. It's a hot button issue in all the towns, and, many of the towns are upset that this has been mandated by the legislature and signed by the government. But that's kind of a bigger umbrella kind of an issue. Right now, it's the minutia that we have to do and draft regulations for our community just to be ahead of it, so we don't find ourselves in the wrong place.
It was my interpretation from Monday night's meeting that a lot of litigation is going to happen because it's a lot of interpretation of the text. So I think that we don't want to waste the town's money, and we want to be diligent in, our deadlines and thinking about what might we have to rezone, and that's our first deadline, because we don't want to open ourselves up to so much litigation and spend money that we don't get a return on here.
Yeah, and I don't disagree, and that's sort of our approach as well.
Right.
We're listening, but it's like, hey, let's take a little time to start drafting, because one of the thoughts is, with all due respect to the COG, they're charged with this, but we may be more creative, or not.
Well, we're more invested, I think.
Yeah, and so all options are on the table. We're paying attention. We're not wasting a lot of energy, obviously, because we're not ready, but we're aware nobody else is either. And so we know the litigation is going to come, and then we think the state legislature has to make some adjustments in some of the language because there's some definition problems with some of the language. So we're watching that too, but still starting to make an effort. And so that's why you haven't heard a lot from us, but you're starting to hear some things. But
Have we heard any more about putting out the bids for new town attorneys? Mrs. Hardy just left. I was going to ask her, so I didn't know if
I'm not
you,
privileged to that, so
I didn't know if there was any talk about that or not.
Is it reasonable to establish a moratorium on all building in town to give the department a chance to get into this and get it over with?
No, we probably couldn't do that, and number two, we'll be okay, and somehow we'll figure it out.
I hope so, because otherwise some things are going to some projects will get pushed through, and it's going to be detrimental to this town, and, you know, our hands are going to be tied.
Well, we're busy, but it's all under control.
Okay,
And
Mr.
I
Mahal.
thank those who came to the meeting, and for those who didn't.
I didn't find out about it until the day of.
No, but we're moving forward, and I think that's a good thing. So it's not that we're completely blind to or oblivious to what's going on. Other than that, we're busy.
I have
So
two
things in the wings, and we'll see.
Two questions on a different subject. Last time we asked about mandatory training, and you said that your staff had just gotten the chart out to look at.
Yeah, I don't have an update, but it's been moved from 2 years to 4 years, so I think everybody's good, with exception of Carrie, who probably needs the training, and we've got to figure out how, when, but a lot of it's online now.
Right, but if we don't get the training done on time, then she can't vote.
Yeah, we think we're good.
Okay.
We've been on for...
I think we need a really definitive
I'd
answer.
like to see a copy of
Yes.
it, I think.
Because people make mistakes, no one's
Yeah.
perfect, but we really need to be
So-
on it.
If we could get a copy and know when.
Yes.
And then the other question, I brought this up, but I didn't realize this one thing. Last year, we kind of let Family Pizza slide when they had tables and chairs on the sidewalk, but it was always on the left side of the sidewalk.
Yes.
They have tables and chairs between the sidewalk and the road that goes from Main Street into the parking
Yes.
lot, just like a foot from where cars are zooming in and out. I think that's dangerous.
Yeah,
And is there some way you can approach
we'll go
them?
down and take some pictures. We'll take the new zoning vehicle, the Intimidator, down and park it in front and take some pictures.
Because honestly,
I
it's
was sent by the zoning board.
Yeah, or
it's
just
like
talk
a
to
few
them.
inches from the driveway. If you drop your purse and bend over to pick it up, a car could
I'm sure if you just talk to them,
I
because
dropped my purse, but I
they're very nice.
It's dangerous.
They're very nice,
Yeah.
and I think if you just go talk to them, if you see something that needs to be fixed.
So,
All kidding aside, obviously we need to get out and take a look and assess what's going on. And we-
yeah.
The
And then,
businesses are bustling, though. They're all out there, and it's been great.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday night.
Yeah.
Crowd of people out the door, and then by 9 o'clock, that is a door.
Because everything closes at 9. Don't get hungry after 9, people.
It's a good thing everybody on the zoning board is over 25.
okay, our ex officio has
She left.
so I think it's, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Do you want to
Oh,
hold?
something? Sorry.
Missed something on the agenda.
What I could have, very easily.
Liaison to the planning commission.
Oh, yes.
I cannot do the 14th of
You-
July.
Do you want me to take the 14th? Do you want to switch with me?
Good work, Mr. Maholland.
Okay, I'll switch with
Keeping
you.
it all together for us.
Thank you. Now do we have a motion?
Excuse me.
Oh, we have more, yes.
Hey, Bill, sit down.
We're not ready yet. Mr. Peck has a lot to say.
I went to the planning board
Yes.
meeting,
Oh,
okay?
yeah, I'm gonna sit for this one.
And this may sound important, but because it is.
Okay.
They had a hearing on a small subdivision, 10.8 acres on 29 Walnut Hill Road, which is in the RU 200 zone. They approved the lot, and I questioned it. I said, this board is not using the conservation by design development regulations that took years to develop. And I spoke to Gary afterwards, and he said that the 200 zone is not part of that regulation, so we've got to add it. and I'd like to put that on the agenda.
Okay.
Or just,
It is my opinion, that it is. And that Gary's
not written in there.
absolutely wrong.
I saw it.
Yeah, our view is it's a typo. There was never any, I mean, it's very clear that that's what we were doing. But I'll go back and work through the language to make sure, and go back and look at the minutes to make sure. If it's not, then we do need to do that. I would suggest you follow up to that if everybody agrees.
Absolutely.
Put it on the agenda anyway, so we don't lose any time.
Also, too, there's land for sale, that they're advertising that it's RU 80 and it's not, it's RU 200.
Well, I'm aware of that.
You can't depend on realtors.
And I have another question, too, if Norm is finished with his.
Not yet.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I question whether the planning board is using the conservation by design development. Every time I go, it doesn't seem that that's being followed, but I could be wrong. The other item was one other, a couple others. 46 Brainerd Road, re-subdivision, 4.4 acres. It doesn't fall into the conservation by design regs. This is just a 2-lot subdivision. And Clark, don't know the, Holmes Road was a public hearing, 10-lot subdivision, 12.6 acres. That the hearing is coming up in July. Could you check to see if
That may be the same property, and I'm not sure. Be careful what I say. That we denied a affordable housing application on.
okay,
So we want to be careful what we say because that's in litigation.
it's 12.6 acres though.
Yeah, maybe a different parcel. I'll sit down with Gary. I've heard some talk about it in the office, but I haven't had time to really get into the subdivision side of it much.
Because of my suspicion, is there any way that we could get referrals on these subdivisions?
No, because there's no statutory requirement for it, even if you may find that desirable. I will say on your behalf, I have sent a couple memos about the CBD because I get to review the subdivisions. They're referred to me to review. So what I have done on a couple of occasions is said you need to consider the buffer, the XYZ, and typed it up and sent it over, saying you need to consider this when you do that. Generally a little bit more than I normally would do. We've done it a couple of times, and I've sat with Gary a few times. You need to tell your board they need to follow this. And that's kind of what I've been able to do.
I can tell you for sure that that regulation entails, I think it's a beautiful piece of zoning. It entails a site visit to any of the sites that, the 10 acres or more, or 4 lots or more. So the planning board goes out to the site with the engineer, and they design or help design with the engineer the most appropriate development, protecting vistas, stone walls, tree lines, just certain aspects you want to save, and the useless land, put the houses on. I think it's a great process which is not being used. They don't go to the sites, it appears, and they should. I don't know what we can do, but that would be good zoning, real good
To
concept.
start with, I'll have a chat with Gary.
Do they know Robert's Rules of Order on the planning department? Like sometimes when I don't want to be critical because everybody's a volunteer, but
I'm not sure how they operate in the process at their level. I'm assuming they do, but lady. I don't have enough knowledge to comment one way or the other.
I have another question too that's really quick. Many years ago, when I was first on zoning, I sat in on the ZDM project that's downtown. I brought up, I was reading, remember I had all the maps all strewn all over, and none of the bedrooms, none of the square footages were at state minimum. So every time I see them doing some work over there, and we had discussed it, and I, questioned it, and the bedrooms were not a state minimum, they were lower. And I want to make sure that when the developer goes forward, that though you said we would go back, but I want to make sure that they're at least the state minimum, because they weren't before. The square footages were all wrong.
Well, I remember that, but I don't know that there's a state minimum.
There is, I looked it up.
There's a
Yes.
minimum that we-
A two-bedroom is 850, and we discussed it and said that we would make sure that they did it. They would have to move stuff around. On one of them, they said for the one-bedrooms that they said, oops, since it was less than the square footage required for a one-bedroom, they said, oh, we'll just make them efficiencies. We'll just take the door off. And I'm like, you can't do that. That's not right.
That's not right.
So, it would be nice to have those minutes that came up during that meeting. It was like 4 years ago, but here we are, we're circling around, and they're gonna build it, and we said that we would keep an eye on that to make sure those square footages were correct. They can't make a place, if it's only got 594 square feet, they cannot make that a one-bedroom condo, apartment, or whatever they're doing. They have to have the state minimum requirements, and none of the units in there were.
Yeah, and they revised all that, and to my recollection.
I haven't seen any revision, and I've been,
You could go down to his office probably and pull it out.
okay.
Yeah. I just found the last page of my agenda, so sorry I skipped the planning piece. I don't have any more comments, so I think we can adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Long